Mark here from newhometricks.com, and today I want to talk about the Sonos Playbar. We've installed this alongside our TV in our living room to replace the aging amp and speakers that we had hooked up to our TV previously. They were getting quite old, developing a few issues, so it made sense to replace them anyway. But of course, as part of our smart home journey, we decided we wanted a smart entertainment system to be taking the place of our normal home cinema system here, and that's what we've decided to do. Now, Sonos have got two products now for this. They've got the Playbar, which has been out on the market for many years, and that's what we've installed here. And then there's the new Playbase, which they target at people wanting to have something installed underneath their TV. We decided not to do that here, even though we have a TV on a stand, because at some point we're going to replace our TV and have it mounted on the wall. But for now, we just want to focus on the Playbar speaker. As mentioned, this has been out for many years. It's by no means a new product, so you'll find plenty of unboxing videos out there on YouTube. I decided not to go ahead and do one here because there's going to be loads of them on YouTube already if you have a search, so there's no point me recreating that really. I didn't feel I could really add anything to what I'm sure is already out there. Even though there are certainly newer soundbars out there on the market, it's tough to find anybody that's really recommending against the Sonos Playbar. There's very little to criticise about this. It is quite expensive. It was about £640 for us to buy. The only other sort of technical criticism that I could find is that it doesn't support DTS, which some people may find disappointing. Sonos say the reason for this is that DTS is primarily something that's supported on physical media like Blu-ray, whereas they target this more towards people who are going to be using it with streaming services like Netflix and others. So it doesn't support DTS, it only supports Dolby Digital. So not really a showstopper for us, but if it is a blocking issue for you and you need DTS, you may want to look elsewhere at another solution. But for us, not a major showstopper that it only supports Dolby Digital. Now, because this has been out on the market for a long time and there are plenty of unboxing videos, there are also plenty of reviews out there. So again, rather than give you a full blow-by-blow description of this, I will instead simply sort of focus on the differences between this and, say, the Play 1 speaker that we've already got, besides the obvious physical form factor differences. The Play 1 has got a single Ethernet port on the back and, of course, a power lead. Same deal here, you've got a power connector, but you've got two Ethernet ports, and of course an optical connector, that's for hooking it up to your TV. Those are the only ports on this thing. Now, we've got a fairly old TV. This doesn't actually have an optical out connector on the back, so we've decided to go a different route for hooking this up. When we moved house, we decided not to renew our cable service. We don't have a separate Blu-ray player. All we've got is an Xbox One. That's the only source that we have for TV, movies, anything really. And the Xbox One does have an optical connector on the back, so we've hooked this straight up directly to the Sonos speaker. Now, if you decide to go the same route, you'll want to make sure that you get the settings right on your Xbox One to support the best quality sound. You'll want to go into the settings, you'll want to configure your optical sound output to be what they call bitstream, and then you'll want to set the bitstream format to Dolby Digital. As mentioned, it doesn't support DTS. I've written some step-by-step instructions into my companion blog post, so if you have a look at the link in the description below, you'll be able to find those there. You'll want to make sure that you do that, because if you do, you'll then have the full surround sound support going into the Playbar speaker. If not, you might simply be getting stereo. And it's important that you make sure you get that right, because if you do decide to build this out into a full 5.1 setup, you'll want to make sure that you've got that configured properly. And it's very easy to do that if you do decide to go down that route. You can simply wirelessly pair up things like a Sonos sub. You can wirelessly pair up a pair of Play 1, Play 3 or even Play 5 speakers and position them at the rear of the room to be your left and right rear sound channel speakers. And when you do that, the Sonos system will automatically adapt. So if you've just got a Playbar by itself, it's going to try and do virtual surround, it's going to try and do all of the bass for you, whereas if you pair it up with those additional speakers, the soundbar doesn't need to do that anymore. So all it needs to do is just the sort of left, centre and right front audio channels, and it adapts itself accordingly. So it's a very clever system in that regard. A few other physical differences you'll notice on the front, you might not be able to see it here, but there's a infrared receiver, one on the front and one on the top. This is so that you can use an existing remote that you might have to adjust the volume. Now, if you're going to use your TV remote, you might need to fish out the TV manual to figure out how to set your remote to control this. There is some help on the Sonos website in their support section. We're actually using an Xbox One media remote, and we were able to get the volume controls buttons on that working with the Sonos speaker. You can of course change the volume inside the app, but sometimes it's nicer just to have a physical remote that you can grab and immediately adjust the volume. Now, aside from those physical differences, there are a few software differences as well. If you launch the app and when you're watching a TV show or a movie and you've got the sound source set to be the TV, there are a couple of icons that you'll find in the corner of the Sonos app. One allows you to turn on what Sonos call night mode. Now, what night mode does is it effectively, this is Sonos's volume leveling feature. It suppresses the volume of very loud sounds in a TV or movie that you're watching and enhances the volume of very quiet sounds. So that way, if you're watching late at night, you don't get disturbed, and certainly other people in the house and maybe your neighbours don't get disturbed by sudden loud sounds coming through, but still allows you to hear those quieter sounds that might be being played as well. So that can be very useful for nighttime viewing of TV shows and movies. The other feature that you can turn on in the corner of the app is what they call dialogue clarity. Now, sometimes you might be watching a TV show or a movie and you might feel that the vocal components, the spoken components of the sound is getting drowned out by background music or other background sound effects. And if that seems to be the case, then you can turn on dialogue clarity, and the Sonos speakers, they will use their processing capacity to enhance the vocal components of the sound so that it seems clearer and easier to hear. So that can be a useful feature for certain TV shows and movies. I've noticed it a few times on certain shows that it's been a useful feature to have. Not necessarily all the time, but just sometimes you might feel that that's the case and you can turn on dialogue clarity and get a little bit more clarity in that vocal component. So these are certainly useful features to have. A few other more minor things in the software that you'll notice is that you can also turn on things like an audio delay. Now, if it seems like the audio is not in sync with what's being displayed on the screen, you can introduce a delay in the sound on the speaker to sync it up with what you see on the screen. Other than that, you get all the same kind of features that you do with other Sonos speakers, including the ability to adjust the bass, treble, turn on what they call loudness mode, and also to enable true play tuning, which we'll look at in a future video and article. How does it sound? It sounds really good. It's very, very good sound quality coming from this thing, certainly better than listening on regular TV speakers, which usually are pretty rubbish. And it's better even than the old speakers and amp that we had previously. They were pretty good even though they were old, just developing a few issues as mentioned. But this is a very, very good quality speaker. Now, as I say, you can pair this up with additional components to enhance the sound quality even further and get an even more immersive listening experience by introducing that full 5.1 setup. And of course, alongside being able to use this to watch TV and have the audio output through the Playbar, you can of course still do the rest of the things that you can do in a Sonos setup, stream audio, play music on this thing, so you can just do that. When you switch over to the TV, it's clever enough that it automatically switches to the TV source in the Sonos app. You can switch manually, but having it doing it automatically is much nicer. And that's about it really. I have written up a full companion blog post to go alongside this video, which goes into a little bit more detail. So if you want to learn more about the Sonos Playbar, do have a look at that. The link is in the description below. Or you can visit the website, newhometricks.com. Please check that out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.